The Senate will come to order. The senators will please take their seats. Those persons not entitled to the privileges of the floor will kindly retire to the gallery. The senators and all in attendance will rise and be led in prayer by the Reverend Dr. Bruce A. Gray, Chaplain, Richmond Fire Department, Richmond. Reverend Gray, welcome.
Let us pray. Gracious God, you call us all, members of this Senate, members of a great variety of faith communities, and citizens all, to serve the common good and to respect the dignity of every human being. This task will require the very best from all of us who care about the people of Virginia. It will mean putting aside our political and cultural divisions to recognize the humanity of all people. It means taking care of the neediest among us, especially those who live on the margins of our society and communities, and who tend to be forgotten or are the targets of discrimination. Let us be seekers for justice for all people. To accomplish this will require wisdom and courage, to put aside the politics of the moment and focus our work on the people who depend on us. Help us, O God, to put aside the fear and anger that seems to be driving our political battles. Inspire those who serve here to claim a vision for a better future for all our people. Correct those who speak of their opponents for political office as enemies. Teach us all to love our neighbors as you have called us to do. Finally, on this day, we commend, O God, to your loving care Justice Antonin Scalia, who served this nation with distinction on the Supreme Court. And we ask that your presence and strength will be with his family and loved ones as they live with their loss. All this we ask in your gracious and loving name. Amen.
Amen. The clerk will call a roll. All those present will please vote aye. The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, noes 1. You have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Senate Journal for Thursday, February 18th, 2016.
The senator from Western Fairfax County, Senator Morrison, moves that the reading of the journal be waived. All in favor of waiving the reading of the journal will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their votes? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 36, noes 3.
Ayes 36, noes 3. The reading of the journal is waived. The clerk will please report any communications from the House of Delegates. The senator from James City County.
Mr. President, I respectfully move that we waive the reading of any communications received from the House of Delegates.
Question is, shall the reading of the communication be waived? All in favor of waiving the reading of the communication will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their votes? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 36, noes 2.
Ayes 36, noes 2. The reading of the communication is waived. The clerk will please report any communications from the governor.
We do not have any, sir.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The time has come to recognize visitors to the gallery and take up other matters for the morning hour. The senator from Hanover, Senator McDougal.
Thank you, Mr. President. Rise for the purposes of an introduction.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. In the gallery, I think they're taking up the entire gallery this morning. We have a group of students from Northumberland High School, middle school. Mr. President, this group of students is with the Talented and Gifted program. You might have seen them running around with tag shirts, and that was not because you were it, Mr. President, but they are promoting the academic and visual and performing arts skills that they are learning, and they are also learning about how we operate as a governmental system, and they are here with their leaders today. Mr. President, in the group includes one of our delegates from down the hall, Delegate Ranson's daughter, Morgan. So if you could give Morgan and the entire rest of the group the warm welcome of the Senate and thank them for spending some time with us in the Senate today.
Thank you, Senator. Would members from Northumberland Middle School please rise? Welcome to the gallery this morning, and it's great to be out on a field trip from school and get a day away from school. And I was looking at your shirts as I saw you in the hall, and you must have done very well academically, and you should be proud of your accomplishments. So keep working hard in school, keep listening to your teachers and obeying your parents, and good things will happen for you. So we hope you enjoy your stay here and hope you have a great weekend. I would ask the members of the Senate to please join me in offering members from Northumberland Middle School the warm welcome of the Senate. The senator from Hampton, Senator Locke.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to ask for a leave of absence for the senator from Portsmouth who's away from the Capitol on pressing personal business.
The Journal will so reflect that the senator from Portsmouth, Senator Lucas, is away from the Capitol on pressing personal business. The senator from Buckingham, Senator Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise for purposes of an introduction.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, joining us in the gallery today is someone we all know, Emily Webb with the Virginia School Boards Association. But also with Emily today in the gallery are 4 members of the Virginia School Boards Association's Board of Directors. They are from Goochland County in the wonderful 22nd District, Beth Hardy. From Gloucester, Anita Parker. From Manassas City, Scott Albrecht. And from Shenandoah County, Karen Wetzel. Mr. President, I ask that we give these members of the Virginia School Boards Association the warm welcome of the Virginia Senate.
Thank you, Senator. Would Emily Webb and other members of the School Board Association please rise? Senator, I'm not sure if they're in the gallery with us. Perhaps they're watching from another viewing area, but we certainly welcome them to the Capitol, and we hope they have a wonderful visit. I'd ask the members of the Senate to please offer Ms. Emily Webb and other members from the School Board Association the warm welcome of the Senate. The senator from Richmond City, Senator Sturdivant.
Mr. President, I rise for an introduction.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, members of the Senate, it is my honor today to introduce the Reverend Dr. Bruce Gray, who joins us in the gallery and who got us off to a wonderful start this morning with the invocation. Dr. Gray is the chaplain of the Richmond City Fire Department here in the city of Richmond, one of the finest fire departments in the entire Commonwealth. And Mr. President, I ask that we offer to Dr. Gray the warm welcome of the Senate.
Thank you, Senator. Would Reverend Bruce Gray please rise? Reverend Gray, it's great to see you again, as always. It was enjoyed visiting with you, and we counted at least 12 cups, so you've been here numerous times, and we thank you for being here this morning to, as the senator from Richmond City said, to get us off to a good start, and we hope you have an enjoyable weekend and come back and visit us soon, and thanks for your service to the fire department. I would ask the members of the Senate to please join me in offering the Reverend Dr. Bruce Gray the warm welcome of the Senate. The senior senator from Loudoun, Senator Black, did you want to introduce?
Thank you, Mr. President. Today we are joined by Miss Olivia Vogel. She is up in the gallery, I believe, and she is Senator Vogel's daughter. A delightful young lady. I met her this morning coming in, and she had a silver tiara in her hand. She said she was uncertain whether she was going to wear that. I said she looked like a princess. She acknowledged that, but she said that she did have a lovely bow in her hair that she would wear in any event. And so I would ask the warm welcome of the Senate for Miss Olivia Vogel.
Thank you, Senator. Would Prince Olivia please rise? Good morning, Olivia. So nice to see you. What a beautiful little girl you are. So thank you for being with us today. And and keeping an eye on your mom. And Olivia, we hope you have a wonderful weekend, and tell all your brothers and sisters and your daddy we said hello. I'd ask the members of the Senate to please join me in giving Princess Olivia the warm welcome of the Senate. Is there any other business for the morning hour? Seeing none, the clerk will please call the calendar.
Senate calendar for Friday, February 19th, 2016. Uncontested calendar, House bills on third reading. House Bill 22, a bill relating to expiration of the political candidate contribution tax credit. Reported from the Committee on Finance.
The senator from Augusta, Senator Hanger.
Great. Mr. President, are we going to take these up individually?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, House Bill 22 is similar to a bill previously passed that was carried by the senator from Fairfax City. This eliminates the tax credit for contributions to political candidates. The difference here, and I would share with the senator from the city of Fairfax, is that this one stages it to be at the beginning of a calendar year as opposed to the effective date of the bill. And so if the senator from the city of Fairfax would like to speak to that, as far as whether he agrees with that, Mr. President, I would yield to him.
Thank you, Senator. The senator from Fairfax City, Senator Peterson.
Thank you, Mr. President. And the senator is exactly correct. This is actually a better bill than mine because it picks up the actual fiscal year as opposed to just going into effect July 1. I know some folks, like we had a couple no votes against my bill, so you might want to be alert to that. But this is actually a better bill than mine, but it is the same concept.
Thank you, Senator. The Senate will stand at ease. We need to reset the board. The Senate will come to order. The motion on the floor is regarding House Bill 22. The question is, shall House Bill 22 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their votes? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 35, noes 4.
Ayes 35, noes 4. The bill passes.
House Bill 742, a bill relating to eligibility for Neighborhood Assistance Program tax credits. Reported from the Committee on Finance with a substitute.
Senator from Augusta, Senator Hanger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I've been discussing this bill with the junior senator from Virginia Beach, and he has some suggestions which I think would improve this bill. So I would ask that it go by for the day before we adopt the committee substitute.
Thank you, Senator. Without objection, House Bill 742 will go by for the day.
House Bill 1331, a bill relating to withholding of income taxes related penalties. Reported from the Committee on Finance with a substitute.
The senator from Augusta, Senator Hanger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 1331 codifies the current provision that we have in the Appropriations Act, which requires all employers to file their withholding information with the Department of Taxation electronically. It includes a provision where if there is a problem with that for an individual small employer, that they can get a waiver from this. So I move passage, Mr. President.
Sorry, if we could move the substitute.
Mr. President, I move we adopt the committee substitute.
Thank you, Senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The substitute is agreed to. The senator from Augusta.
Mr. President, as explained, I move the bill pass.
Thank you, Senator. The question is, shall House Bill 1331 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, nor are the senators ready to vote. Have all the senators voted? If any senators desire to change their votes, the clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, noes 0.
Ayes 39, noes 0. The bill passes.
Regular calendar House bills on third reading. House Bill 182, a bill relating to transient occupancy tax, Frederick County. Reported from the Committee on Finance.
The senator from Augusta, Senator Hanger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill pass and speak to that.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members and Mr. President, we have 3 bills here on the regular calendar that address the transient occupancy tax. The first 2, this being the first one, and this one is for Frederick County, addresses the situation where they would like to increase the transient occupancy tax over the traditional 5% that we allow by general code. This has been requested by the locality, and it would, I think with the passage of this bill, would allow them to increase it an additional 2% over the existing 5%, with all of that bit dedicated to tourism efforts. Again, move passage, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. The question is, shall House Bill 182 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, nor are the senators ready to vote. Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their votes? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 29, noes 10.
Ayes 29, noes 10. The bill passes.
House Bill 328, a bill relating to transient occupancy tax, Botetourt County. Reported from the Committee on Finance.
Mr. President, I move that House Bill 328 pass and speak to that.
Senator has the floor.
This one, actually, Mr. President, I would, there was a slight variation of what I explained on the 182, but at any rate, it was all correct, except it only goes to 5% on that. So we're good with that. But on this one, for Botetourt County in the following bill, this is where they want to put the additional 2%, and it addresses it in a manner that they are already at 5%, and this would allow them to go to an additional 2%, putting it at a total of 7%, with all the additional 2% going to tourism efforts. I move that the bill pass.
Thank you, Senator. The senator from Roanoke County, Senator Suderline.
Mr. President, will the senator from Augusta yield for a question?
The senator from Augusta yield for a question.
I'd be pleased to yield,
He yields,
Mr. President.
Senator.
Under this bill, when all of you come to visit us in the Roanoke Valley, would you all have to pay a sales tax, then the transient occupancy tax, which we'd also be increasing again? So how much would the percent greater than the rate on a $100 room be?
The senator from Augusta.
Mr. President, I would say to the senator from Roanoke County that with the imposition of this transient occupancy tax, if it's adopted, you would have the 5.3%, 5% plus an additional 2%, which would be 12.3%, $12.30, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. The senator from Roanoke County.
May I speak to the bill, Mr. President?
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, I was enthusiastic when the senator from Fauquier was elected a few years ago. I wasn't all that much of an admirer of her predecessor like a lot of other people were. But one of the things that he used to rise on this floor and say again and again was his favorite cliche, don't tax me, don't tax you, tax the man behind the tree. And so when you all come to visit us in the Roanoke Valley on that $100 room rate, the good senator just explained it will now be $12.30 in addition. And for that reason, I speak against this bill that's brought by my friend, the delegate from Botetourt. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. The senator from Fairfax City, Senator Peterson.
Would the gentleman from Augusta resume the floor for a question?
The senator yield for a question.
Be pleased to yield,
Yield,
Mr. President.
Senator.
I'd ask the gentleman, if this measure is adopted, would the actual decision to set that transient occupancy tax be at the discretion of the local board of supervisors?
The senator from Augusta.
Mr. President, I'd say to the senator from Fairfax City, that is correct. That decision would be made by the local board.
Further question, Mr. Chair.
He yields, Senator.
I would ask the gentleman, and do they have regularly scheduled elections in Botetourt County whereby county board members can be removed if they act against the wishes of their citizens?
Senator from Augusta.
Mr. President, I would say to the senator that yes, there are repercussions sometimes based on the actions that we take in elective office.
I thank the gentleman.
Thank you, Senator. The senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Mr. President, based on the last, speaking to the motion, please, sir.
Senator
Based on the last question, it took me back to academia ever so briefly. And in the fall, to the third-year law students, the first discussion I have with them is about the Dillon Rule. And under the Commonwealth of Virginia, there are certain legislative enactments that are required even before the local governing authorities can adopt certain ordinances on it. So basically what we are doing is authorizing the Board of Supervisors in Botetourt County to make the decision as to whether or not they would like to impose it. So for those of you that are looking for some inoculation or some prophylactic measures on it, the Board of Supervisors will make that decision ultimately.
Thank you, Senator. The senior senator from Fairfax County, Senator Saslaw.
You know, Mr. President, I look at that board on these votes on transient occupancy tax, and the only thing I'd have to say that those of you who continue to vote against this ought to have at least the intellectual honesty to put in a bill next year to repeal the transient occupancy tax in all of your districts. And I can assure you the Board of Supervisors will be just delighted with that, not to mention the letters you're going to get from Wall Street lowering your AAA bond ratings. So if you have an ounce of honesty, just an ounce, you'll put in a bill next year to repeal the transient occupancy tax in all of your Senate districts. Otherwise, your vote up on that board is as phony as it gets.
Thank you, Senator. The question is, shall House Bill 328 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their votes? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 28, noes 10, Rule 36-1.
Ayes 28, noes 10, Rule 36-1. The bill passes.
House Bill 1194, a bill relating to transient occupancy tax, Bedford County. Reported from the Committee on Finance.
Senator from Augusta, Senator Hanger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that House Bill 1194 pass and speak to that.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill is identical to the bill we just passed, with the exception this one addresses Bedford County. The previous one addressed Botetourt County. And just for clarity, because I made a slight misstatement when I was first speaking about the three bills. The first bill addressed Frederick County, and it's the traditional one, Christmas tree, where we've added Frederick County to the group that is capped at 5%. The last bill gives the local board the ability to move that to 7%, and likewise, this bill would allow Bedford County to move it to 7%. So with that, I move passage of the bill, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. The senator from Roanoke County.
Mr. President, I would just like to point out the attention of the body and the senior senator from Fairfax that my predecessor was the senator from Bedford, which means Bedford's also in my district. So I look forward to watching my vote on this one as well, and you can rate if it's phony or not. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Mr. President.
The senator from Grayson.
Would the gentleman yield for a question? Gentleman from
Roanoke County, yield for a question.
With great trepidation.
He yields, Senator.
I'm just getting concerned here. I just want to know how many of the gentlemen from Roanoke's constituents lives in motels and hotels down there.
This is for... Thank you, Mr. President. This is for when we've got great folks in Southwest who have children that are stationed with the state police in the Roanoke Valley and want to come visit them. I don't want them paying a higher tax than necessary.
And
Senator from Grayson.
Would the gentleman agree that it's nice having someone live in that county so you don't have to pay that
transit occupancy tax.
Senator from Roanoke County.
I think Mr. President, I think the senator from Grayson's got a nice son who will likely take care of him, but not everyone has such a nice son.
Thank you, Senator. The question is, shall House Bill 1194 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their votes? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 27, noes 11.
Ayes 27, noes 11. The bill passes.
Uncontested calendar House bills on second reading.
Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd move that all the House bills on the second reading on both the uncontested and regular calendar, which would include all House bills on page 3 through page 34, that the rules of the Senate be suspended and that the second constitutional reading of the titles be dispensed with.
Thank you, Senator. The question is, shall the rules be suspended and the second reading of the titles of House bills on the uncontested and regular calendars, pages 3 through 34, House Bill 10 through House Bill 1391, be dispensed with? All in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their votes? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, noes 0.
Ayes 39, noes 0. The motion is agreed to. The senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Mr. President, I now move that all the bills be passed by for the day.
Thank you, Senator. The question is, shall the House bills on the uncontested and regular calendars now on third reading go by for the day? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bills will go by for the day.
Regular calendar House Joint Resolution on third reading. House Joint Resolution 210, election of a Supreme Court of Virginia Justice. Reported from the Committee for Courts of Justice.
The senator from Rockingham, Senator Obenshain.
Mr. President, can that go by for the day?
Yes, sir. Thank you. The question is, without objection, HJR 210 will go by for the day. The senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Thank you. The senior senator from Virginia Beach has asked me to inquire if that completes the calendar for the day.
It does, Senator Wagner. You're doing a fine job.
Is there any other business for the Senate this morning? Seeing none, the clerk will please report any announcements on the desk.
Sunday, February 21st, the Committee on Finance will meet at 3 p.m. in Senate Room B to report the budget. Monday, February 22nd, the Committee for Courts of Justice will meet at 8 a.m. Senate Room B. The Republican Caucus will meet at 11:30 a.m. in Senate Room 2. The Democratic Caucus will meet at 11:30 a.m. in Senate Room 1. Weekend weather report. There will be mostly sunny skies throughout the Commonwealth on Friday and Saturday. Early morning lows will be in the mid-30s with highs in the mid-60s during the day. Sunday will bring increasing cloudiness with the possibility of late day showers. Temperatures will remain in the mid-60s.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The senator from Augusta, Senator Hanger.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a brief announcement relative to the budget. As was announced, we will be rolling out the Senate version of the budget on Sunday afternoon at 3. As a courtesy to members who are not on the Finance Committee, we've decided this year, and I think would be a good ideal for information sharing, that everyone, once we approve that budget on Sunday afternoon, we will email a copy of all the summary reports to all the members, so you might want to check your emails to get an update. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. The senator from Lynchburg, Senator Newman.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate do now adjourn until 12 noon on Monday.
Thank you, Senator. The question is, shall the Senate stand adjourned until 12 o'clock noon Monday? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate stands adjourned until 12 o'clock noon Monday.